Hi YouTube. I've been into the lifted four-wheel drive GMC Safari van scene for about 4 years now. I picked this up. It was an all-wheel drive, and I swapped in a four-wheel drive transfer case, and I lifted it, and I put a Torsen style limited slip in back. I've got skid plates. For a full review of this van and a walk around, you should check out our brother channel, War Off-Road. I'll try and link that in the description. I show some really cool off-road footage and a full walk around of the suspension. It's part of my off-roading group, War Off-Road, where we wheel any rig. But what I'm here to talk about today is engine mounts, right? If you've got an all-wheel drive Astro or Safari, your oil pan is probably sitting on your front axle. Well, I want to show you my oil pan in relation to the front axle. You have a look up there, you can see light. I can stick my fingers between the oil pan and the front axle, okay? That's because I finally came up with what I think is a long-term solution for keeping the engine stably mounted. Now, I did try polyurethane mounts. I tried brand new replacement mounts that were rubber, and they all eventually sagged and put the engine right back on the front axle. You get vibrations, you get a little bit of noise, and most of all, your oil pan is vulnerable, especially if you're bumping over rocks like I am. Here was the polyurethane mounts that I put in, energy suspension, and these are a modification. These are just a stock style shell with a poly insert. I even went so far as to jack these rubber inserts to keep them from slumping down. This is how they sit in the van. Transmission, driver's side engine, passenger side engine. You can see they sit at an angle. Well, what I finally did, I realized ultimately what happens is the weight of the engine is pushing down, and it basically sucks these mounts down to the lowest point, and then the oil pan just sits on the axle. I didn't like these poly mounts that much. I did feel like there was a little drone and sort of just a vibration introduced into the van. It wasn't fun on the highway. So I went back to rubber, but I put spacers in. So I basically added little spacer plates between the engine mount and the frame. And what that did was that put each engine mount up and closer to each other. So this one went up this way, like that. And this one went up this way. Understand, they didn't just go straight up. So the distance between these points actually shrunk a little bit, okay? And what that did, these mounts aren't a good example because they're thick polyurethane. They really fill up the cage here. But what that did was, with the standard rubber, it centered the rubber up in the cage. So the rubber is no longer inclined to want to just slump down to the bottom of this cage, leaving a big gap here. Now I'm centered now, okay? What plates did I use? Glad you asked. I ordered mine off Summit Racing. It was 16 bucks for a set. I ordered 2 sets, so I put 2 spacer plates under each engine mount. All-Star Performance ALL 38090, and this triangle spacer plate, the hole spacing, perfectly matches the engine mount spacing. Okay, that's a direct fit. I put 2 plates equaling just under ½ an inch. So my motor mounts both came up and in, less than ½ an inch total because of the 45-degree angle they sit. But they basically went like this. And I'm running rubber mounts, just your basic Anchor bogus Chinese mount, because that's about all you can get. I'm also running a rubber rear mount. I did shim it up ever so slightly to get front drive shaft clearance over the cross member. So once again, I don't think I can get in there and actually show you what the plates look like. Maybe I can make an effort here for you. It is hard to change these mounts. I have now done it 3 times, thinking I would never have to do it again. Here we go. So we're looking at the starter right there. This is the passenger side mount. And can you see the plates? Yeah, you can. And guess what? I used stock hardware. I did buy longer bolts. Didn't need them. I imagine if you were to, if you bought a bolt that was maybe a 1/4 inch longer, that would be ideal. But in my case, I didn't have to go there. So That's it. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped, and I hope you can get your engine up off your axle.